Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Night66, and today I'm going to be explaining the whole entire storyline from beginning to end. So we have to go back in time, basically to the beginning. So I'm going to explain everything from part of the comics to the canon parts of the entire game. So in the beginning, there was nothing, and then a burst of pure creation, the 0 point, sprang into being. Countless realities originating from the 0 point, which each in every single universe creates the multiverse inside, and then after the Big Bang ends, the islands are created and everything else is done. The Imagined Order then uses the 0 point to travel to from different realities to use it to alter various realities and change the courses of development drastically. They saw fear in the pure knowledge and power, and eventually began abducting people from the realities to put them back on the island and into the loop. The group known as the Seven fears them and a potential catastrophic damage they could use to cause the omniverse to be basically destroyed. The looper is then trapped in the loop, and then a comet appears above the island, and it starts shooting smaller meteorites, and then crash lands into Dusty Depot along with the factories. Dusty Depot destroyed named itself Dusty Divot, and then we see other parts of the meteors and fragments, all kinds of things crashing through the island. The unnamed investigation agency, which is referred to Organization X by some people, starts setting up certain research facilities around the map, and then we see something happen where there's hop rocks, and then the meteor starts opening up. There's a movie going on about Omega and Carbide, and in the villain layer, we see all that happened, and then it turned out to be a distraction because we're used, thanks to the meteor, to create the rocket. The visitor opens up the entire thing, pops out of the visitor's pod, which is located inside the meteor, and starts assembling parts of the rocket with hop rocks. As he does that, the rocket launch happens, and it takes off from the villain layer. It stops in the air, and then the visitor says, 0 point oscillator on, setting coordinates, engaging quantum field accelerator. It shoots towards Tilted Towers, blasting through a rift, aka a sideways rift, opens between two different dimensions or realities. It spits out the rocket from the 0 point and from the in-between itself, spits it out of the entire rift, and it crashes through over Moisty Mire. After that's done, it then crashes through another rift near Snobby Shores, and then it launches out of Loot Lake into the sky, becoming a sideways rift. This starts teleporting things from the real world to the Fortnite world, and keeps crossing in between until it goes back to the real world, and then the Fortnite world again with a sideways rift. Drift along with several other objects and an entire desert biome, make it to the island. Then he starts traveling with Bright Bomber Rex and some others. Once the road trip begins, you see each part of the loading screens that are leading from the storyline turn them into the fully covered drift, which has the lightning. The sideways rift begins to shrink and changes from the purple to the blue color. Summons enforcers, and they return the missing items. They disappear, and then it causes a cube to rift out of the sideways portal, closing it, with Tomato Temple replacing Tomato Town. The cube goes around the island, creating 7 runes, and then dissolves into Loot Lake. Then it rises out of Loot Lake, starts going back into the other spots where it laid down the runes, starts absorbing energy from the runes even though it created them. Then it returns to Leaky Lake, shoots a portal in the sky, summons cube monsters, and then we see all kinds of things happen throughout the season. Once it happens, it starts draining its entire liquid, and eventually it starts dropping the liquid to the 0 point. This causes the loot lake to become more unstable, and the lake cube explodes, partially damaging the 0 point. We are trapped in the in-between for a few seconds, and then we see the Rift Butterfly, which teleports us back. We are teleported out of the sky, and then AIM lands near an island at Flush Factory, and summons the Ice King. The Icebreaker arrives on the island, and the Ice King with his kingdom arrive on the island and covered in snow. Each day that passes by, Sergeant Winter and all the other characters keep an eye on the entire thing. The castle melts, and it shows the prisoner is located underneath, chained down. The Ice King is fully awake, getting up from his throne, and summons an ice cube storm of frozen husks. Unfortunately, that does not stop that, because the prisoner escapes. He gets all the parts off from finding certain keys, and all of a sudden, Blackheart and some other pirates start to appear. As this happens after, the Brood, aka the hybrid skins, are formed from the volcano that the Ice King used thanks to his power. Once the Ice King and Fire King have an entire fight, the unknown investigation and agency comes back to set up certain locations as excavation sites. Starts digging up volcano vents to prevent volcanic eruption. That doesn't stop the Ruin, the second-hand man of the prisoner, from creating a certain area. Once the excavation site reveals the vault underneath the Loot Lake, we are jumped into that thanks to runes. The vault is opened, and we see the drum gun unvaulted, and Singularity was not at her desk. The volcano erupts and destroys Retail Row's shopping district, cracks the Polar Peak area of the castle, and destroys all of Tilted Towers except for one building. Once that happens, Singularity rebuilds Tilted and Retail as Neo Tilted and Mega Mall, powered by the 0-point energy from the Loot Lake vault. Pressure plant is built into the volcano, which utilizes the magma to create clean energy. Jonesy the First and Peely hide in a bunker. Obviously, we know what happens in Season 9. Jonesy starts eating Peely, he starts going crazy, and starts drawing all kinds of weird pictures and stuff from his mind. The Devourer, the monster underneath Polar Peak, breaks out and starts swinging around the map. It destroys a house at Pleasant, a factory at Loot Lake, and many more. Bunker Jonesy tries to warn us, but we don't listen, and then the Mega's constructed to defeat the Devourer. The Devourer and the Mega team up to basically fight. They're fighting each other. I didn't mean to team up on that. The Devourer tries to obtain the 0-point, but is interrupted by the mech, because then they start fighting. The mech loses its arm and severely damaged. It goes down to the 0-point, punching over the vault, grabbing it, and using it to summon a sword from the 0-point energy and destroys the monster. The 0-point becomes so unstable it makes a rift in time from a sideways point of the dimension, and then it teleports Jonesy and everything else happening into the rift. Several other objects from the past, including all kinds of things like the meteor, all the old buildings. The I.O. contract the visitor into a frozen meteor, teleporting the 7 back to the island and manipulate him into fixing the 0-point. A rift beacon teleports to each town. So for example, one is at Tilted Make Tilted Town, one's at Mega Mall, brings back Retail Row, brought back the Q monsters. The Soccer Stadium explodes when the third rift zone was trying to be stable. A rift was tucked into Truckin' Oasis Rift's Pandora and creates the Pandora area. A rift beacon is placed at Fatal Fields. It shows up with the cube, the floating island. 2 rift beacons are at Paradise Palms, one at the Breslin Lake, which contains Greasy. Moisty Mire and Paradise Palms merge together, and then Moisty Palms is born. The prison is also being brought back in an area within the Season 4 state. Tilted Town is returned to Gotham City for the Batman collab, so that's canon. Starry Suburbs comes back thanks to the Rift Beacon. The scientist reconstructs the rockets, and then leaves several tapes talking about how they were able to collect and cryptically describe the plans and the attempts to remember his plan during the looping process. They also placed viruses on the Brute, clearing the sky for rocket launch. The 7 tried to use the meteor to stabilize the 0-point, preventing it from exploding. This causes the 0-point to contain the loop's matter to a black hole, and then as matter goes in the black hole, the loop structure changes. This completes the mission of the 7. Once the black hole explodes and reforms the island, the containment field stabilizes in the 0-point and the bridge is intact. IO sends the team Ego to the loop through a plane to explore the new form the island has taken. The cube from Season X is finally out of power and contained under Steamy Stacks. Alter, a criminal organization formed by Midas, including the first Shadows, have an important connection to Slurp and Kevolution Energy. Once they get there, the entire rest of the lore starts to take place. Ripley escapes from Slurpy Swamp and is chased down by Alter, but Ego protects him. Alter fails to try to successfully assault Ego at Hydra 16, but then Midas arrives and turns furniture of the island, his house, into gold. The agency, the grotto, the rig, the shark, and the yacht all built as spy bases. Ego and Alter began spy agencies known as Ghost and Shadow. The yacht and the agency are ghost control locations. Each point of interest has their own henchman and agent controlling it. Brutus joins Shadow, which then causes the grotto to be overrun by Shadow itself. Tina goes to Shadow, blows up the rig, and they patrol the area with Shadow henchmen. Deadpool is activated and is taking control of the yacht. Miascos has turned to Shadow and operates the Fox factory. Sky turns to Ghost as an operative, and the shark has been purposely built for Shadow operatives. Midas and his daughter Jules, the engineer, work on a device capable of breaking the storm and possibly the loop. The renegade Shadow storms the agency. Midas activates the countdown above the agency, and it brings loopers out of the loop multiple times, pushes the storm back, and runs out of energy. The Imagine Order is confused about what's happening on the loop. The wall of water is created by the storm's revenge against Midas, and then Midas turns to a snapshot and gets eaten by a shark. The agency is now rebuilt ever since it was destroyed into their authority, with his daughter Jules protecting and controlling it. It is now officially confirmed to be controlled by Shadow. The Fortilla is created from the remains of the flood. Catty Corner is turned into some kind of box factory with Kit, and the water level is lower every single time, to the point where Aquaman and Black Manta arrive on the island thanks to Scuba Jonesies. Dio crashes on the island in a spaceship, and the water level is lower more, with Coral Castle revealed after the final water level changes. Thor arrives to stop Galactus and warn people of the island. He brings the 700 other heroes, and they immediately get trapped in the loop and start losing their memories. Dio crash lands again after attempting to escape thanks to one of the female skins in the battle pass. Thor brings out the 7 heroes Jennifer Walters, Groot, Storm, Doctor Doom, Mystique, Iron Man, Wolverine, and other characters to the island. Doctor Doom takes control of Pleasant Park, the Authority is abandoned and half the Fortilla is washed away. Tony Stark begins to work on Rift beacons again, with upstate New York arrives in the island. Stark Industries arrives and Tony Stark begins working on the upgraded battle bus. Wolverine is seen at Weeping Woods, Midas' chair is seen at the Authority. Shadow Midas arrives and haunts the Authority, renaming it as the Ruins. Shadow Midas disappears, Tony Stark activates the countdown. Galactus arrives and intends to consume the 0 point. The battle buses are consumed by Galactus, sending him far away from the island back to his own dimension. The 0 point is exposed by Galactus, and John Jones goes to the island to fix the problem. When he releases Mandalorian, Reese, Mancake, Maeve, Lexa, Condor, and Menace, they are recruited to stop people from escaping the loop. The Fortilla is fully washed away, and Lexa tells the looper that she does not trust Jones and the IO guards. She theorizes that they are not in the loop like the other. Kratos and Master Chief join the hunt. The Walking Dead characters Daryl Dixon and Michonne join. John Jones forms the first ever 0 point portal to bring them in. Predator is lured by the island thanks to John Jones. A new portal forms near Stealthy Stronghold, a location designed to trap Predator. The Terminator and Sarah Connor join the fight next to Steamy Stacks. Snake Eyes joins. The Grid Warriors join the hunt. A new portal forms at Lake Canoe. Ryu and Chun-Li are formed at Sweaty Sands. The 0 point becomes more stable thanks to the reality hops John Jones makes with his 0 point portal gun. It turns more purple, and shockwaves every 8 minutes start to form. The shockwaves get more frequent, and then Ellen Ripley, thanks to the Xenomorph, they're accidentally pulled into the portal near Slurpy Swamp. John Jones comes with a plan to stabilize the 0 point, however he's locked out getting access of files related to the 7. John Jones summons the Foundation, aka the 7, who then seals the 0 point containing the blast. As a result, the island goes wild, animals arrive and parts of the island change, with 6 Spire towers scattered across the maps, with Spire Guardians and Assassins protecting it. Agent Jones is trapped in the loop. The resonant crystals begin to grow around the Spire's inner sanctum. Raz and the Looper begin decoding John Jones' messages through strange devices. and they infiltrate the Spire, steal the resonant crystals, and discover that the Spire Guardians are members of I.O. A crystal song reveals to listen to the crystal song. They discovered that it's talking about the Foundation. The Foundation tells the Looper to find Jones, and then Raz asks the Looper to talk to all different snapshots of Jones to find more clues. A rift appears in Gotham City. Batman appears into the loop. His memories start fading. He starts going through the entire thing, like in the comics, observing his natural behavior. And he's controlled by an external force known as the Loop. Batman is ambushed by Ruckus. They can't speak. He's fighting all of them, meets Catwoman, and then they end up defeating all the other characters on the island, presumably dying to the storm. A 3-rock formation has appeared south of the Flush building. Jonesy the First reveals why the Spire Guardians won't let anyone near the Spire, and it's to prevent it from corrupting and exploiting people. Raz is corrupted by a piece of the Spire's core and becomes Glyph Master Raz. His Cube Masters begin to attract unwanted attention from the outside. Neymar Jr. arrives. The 3-arc formation has taken form of the small island south of Flush Factory building, with smoke and fire particles coming from the ground. A bat shack has been located outside a slippery swamp. Batman discovers that the loop resets every 22 minutes from notes he left to himself in previous loop cycles. Batman eventually meets up Catwoman in the loop. They work together. They feel the connection. And then the loop wipes away memories, individuals, feelings, and emotions still remain. Oriella comes out. Snake Eyes and Batman meet up. Then they decide to let him win so he can escape the loop. Batman escapes the loop but is confronted by Deathstroke, who is holding Catwoman hostage. The arrival of aliens on the island with Io and Dr. Sloan, they try to silence this rumor of alien sightings, and UFOs start appearing as bright lights in the sky. They come to investigate Raz's cube powers. Then Batman and his team go into the hidden bunker. They find 2 golems protecting the entrance and the IO guards acting as the security. They break into the bridge, find the 0-point chamber and power the panels, but discovering that entering the 0-point directly would rip you apart between many realities. Using the panels to lock onto some of the characters' universal signatures allows them to send everyone back to their respective home. Batman returns to his reality, NF-1935, and regains all of his memory. Dr. Sloan laughs with Lex Luthor, and they open a rift aside and above Metropolis. Yeah, this is story lore. Trust me, this is everything. The last reality invade the island, destroy the Spire, and push the 0-point down into the bridge, causing the primal biome to be reversed. The Foundation falls to the ocean into reality NF-1935. The IO sets up 7 different satellite dishes, and they monitor the spaceship, aka the mothership. Dr. Sloan recruits and orders the Loopers to find the mole in IO. The mothership is on the move, deploying abductors from random interesting areas for abducting people. The IOs set up an investigation at the aftermath. Alien parasites have been unleashed on the island, and then they begin to attach themselves to animals and residents of the island to distract them and to use as a hive mind. IO sets up an investigation camp at Believer Beach. Hayseed tries looking for the missing farmer Steel. The last reality takes over Holly Hedges and turns into a Holly hatchery. Zig and Choppy arrive at Hydro 16, and they plant alien parasite eggs. Io recruits Hayseed. Zig and Choppy begin having themselves move across the island, and more parasite eggs are spawned in thanks to the aliens. Chimera and all kinds of things happen at Coral Castle. The Whiplash are replaced with the Ferraris. Zig and Choppy move again, and then Bush Ranger attempts to make peace between their last reality by following a baby alien egg. He suddenly disappears, and he's found to be dead, basically. The mole leaks IO's operations to the public. Dr. Sloan tasks the Looper to bring in an IO field team and access the card, accessing a computer of IO agents in order to confine the mole, mind-wipe the public, and find the infiltrator. The Looper finds an infiltrator who is a trespasser. The trespasser is surprised that the Looper does not remember him while they are quote-unquote friends, and tells you he'll eventually find and remember Chimera's instructions. The mothership begins to abduct Slurpy Swamp. Zig and Choppy, move on even further, this time leaving the aftermath to spread parasite eggs in the spot between Pleasant Park and Guardians of the Bay. A grave appears next to Risky Reels, where Bush Ranger used to be before his disappearance. Billboards are showing Meowscles morsels, cat food, appearing around the island. Upon closer examination, it's revealed that you're secretly transmitting subliminal messages that report hijacking higher brain function set up by the last reality. The IO learned through the DNA island of itself being contaminated by the alien presence. That's why Holly Hedges is now Holly Hatchery. And IO retaliates by eliminating trespassers, using probes to spy on the alien technology, and placing bioscanners into contaminated environments in order to attempt the designation of amount of weapons and all kinds of armor against it. Beast Boy, Armored Batman Zero, and Clark Kent arrive on the island. The mothership then abducts more a Slurp factory, with the IO preparing a counterattack against the Slurp factory's abduction. Clark Kent comes in, then discovering that his memories are lost, believing aliens to be responsible for his memory loss. The Looper is asked by him to regain his memories and powers. The Imposter Game Mode appears, which is canon. It talks about how the bridge, which was first seen during the device event. The IO has run things successfully for thousands of years. The IO controls everything, pretty much almost anything that goes on from inside a loop, from loading chests with weapons to producing supply drops and llamas. John Jones obviously betrayed them during the Zero Crisis finale, but some other unknown members of the IO have also started to defect against the IO. Dr. Sloan believes that Jones wasn't alone. Defecting IO agents are more than likely just following an example from her theory. The Zero Point has been successfully recontained in the Zero Point chamber. The mothership keeps continuing towards throughout the island. Dr. Sloan asks us to bribe Joey into bringing a counter-mole from the Imagined Order. She informs the Looper that the last reality is to annihilate you. Basically, that's the plan of the last reality. She'll attempt to nudge her people to a different direction. The mothership contains Coral Castle completion parts, which are missing from Coral Castle itself. There's more experiments going on. Then there are these alien devices that were using the cube's energy to create some kind of bomb. The cube energy is placed on Sloan's new created mothership countermeasures device at Corny Complex to avoid alien detection. And then pools of slurp water disappear underneath Slurpy Swamp. Marigold has the Looper placed numerous pieces around the bait around the island to lure both the mothership Cordy Complex, trying to lure out the mole of IO. This is all Jesus Christ. Oh man, there's so much here. Near the end of the week, the mothership begins to abduct Corny Complex. Zig and Choppy move to Rio Row, and then the IO base are created underneath, with Dr. Sloan and the Imagined Order beginning Operation Skyfire. Numerous bombs, large ones, are seen attached to pieces of land being abducted. Dr. Sloan warns the Looper that there's impending dew coming, so they set up all kinds of signs around the island. The IO's mole attempts to arm the bombs too early, and is discovered by Dr. Sloan to reveal to have been Maven all along. She calls Sloan a warmongering charlatan, and explains that they can convince the aliens to save the world so that she can continue her meaningful studies, before ultimately attempting to get the Looper out of her way. Corny Complex is abducted in the mothership. Dr. Sloan gathers all the numerous Loopers around to ride with the bombs attached to floating islands. They hack the jetpacks onto the Loopers to free them from the experiment prison cells, and as the Loopers race through the halls of the empty interior of the mothership, the Loopers reach a small room with a shallow pool of purple liquid and large glass windows. Overlooking the abduction chamber, providing a clear view of the bomb-laden island chunks within, Sloan attempts to arm the bombs, with the chamber suddenly shutting down with the cube emerging from the liquid. This shocks Sloan, confuses her and says that she thought the cube was destroyed for good from before. The cube unleashes powerful blasts of energy to knock out some of the Loopers before Sloan weaponizes the packs and disables the cube, turning it black. Sloan praises the Loopers for doing their part, but then reveals she would not be rescuing the Loopers as she does not want to arrest the cube, returns to the island, and leaves all of us to die. The Loopers then reboot the cube, turning it blue and causing the platform to stand all the way up into the mothership, further into the entire top part as the countdown continues. In a massive chamber, there's dormant cubes laying up all over the place. and they are a power source of the mothership. The bombs then detonate, the entire mothership explodes and sends the loopers tumbling down from the sky and plummeting toward the island. The looper then briefly sees debris from the ship and cubes raining onto the island, causing devastation before being hit by a falling saucer. The Imagined Order have escaped the mothership, but in doing so, the island has now been invaded by numerous cubes, who then after have a mysterious, malicious faction known as the Cube Legion appear from the cubes themselves. The sideways are full of hostile cube monsters, and the air doesn't allow building. They are ruled by the Cube Queen, and there are 5 corruption cubes located near the abductor crash sites. They spread corruption on the island, causing the corrupt orange look to overtake the environments around them. They are also opening portals to the sideways dimensions around the island, known as the sideways anomalies. They seem to be moving towards the golden cube. The rebooted blue cube appears to work opposite of the purple cubes. It gives us friendly trees and all kinds of really cool positive energy. J.B. Chapansky starts a fight known as the war effort. The purple cubes begin to do certain movements. They move at least 50 times, and then they can have a simple way to move over water without dissolving, as opposing to be teleporting. The golden cube moves to each cube, starts zapping them, and then makes the purple cubes spawn into smaller ones. The cube starts rolling towards the aftermath, arrives at Pleasant Park, and activates each cube as it originally presented itself. Every single cube turns into smaller cubes, and then the golden cube begins going towards to the other cubes as well. Once the other cubes are done, the I.O. starts showing up at certain areas. The aftermath has the golden cube levitating, shooting electric power. Purple cubes start now rolling towards the aftermath. Dr. Sloan and the I.O. convoy starts moving towards Retail Row. The Cube Queen arrives at their aftermath with all the other cubes. Then they would be together put into a giant structure known as the Convergence. The mysterious Cube Queen would emerge from within the golden cube, stating that time for games is over, before summoning a bunch of caretakers and hovering over the Convergence inside an invincible shield. The description in the skin describes that the Cube Queen is planning to destroy the island. Dr. Sloan and the I.O. convoy move across Retail. Dark Jonesy also has the Oracle Vision restored. He has 2 predictions of paths: painful sacrifice or total annihilation. Dr. Sloan finally arrives at the redacted bunker, revealing an I.O. staging facility, gathering alien ship materials for the flatbed truck inside the facility. The Convergence turns into some kind of another stage where it has many new pillars and all kinds of parts of it showing up everywhere. The Cube Queen is elevated above towards the structure around it as it grows. The events of the 0.0 Crisis finale shows the Foundation basically went from the 0 point all the way to Gotham City. Batman and all the other stuff in the comics start happening, and then the Foundation starts fighting and reveals that the Imagined Order controls the loop, confirms that they're enemies, and the Foundation reveals he's the leader of the 7. The Imagined Order is doing unnatural things to the 0 point. They're threatening the balance of the Omniverse itself, pursued knowledge and power, and the Purge portals, which can be close to the source at ease, that was being used by the bridge at the Order before cutting them off and using the Spire, and sideways rifts, which are significantly harder to open and must either heal naturally or be closed from both sides at once. Once this is happening, Batman leads the Foundation to the sideways rift over Metropolis, and the Justice League begins fighting more enemies. Mysterious villains, numerous ones, start showing up. The Batman who laughs deceives the Foundation's scanners by using the fact he is a Bruce Wayne, pulls him to the rich gravitational pull. With the storm closing in, the Batman who laughs cracks the Foundation's helmet using his visor, for he believes it to be the Foundation's greatest fear to be looped. The Foundation, however, defeats the Batman who laughs, saying he's already living the greatest fear in the fact that the 0 point is in the hands of Geno. The Foundation and the Batman seal the rift over Metropolis. The Foundation realizes he's the last organic sentient entity left in the center of the storm as the loop closes, and narrowly avoids being looped again. He wordlessly flies up to find Jones, and the Batman Who Laughs lands on the island in the next loop cycle, revealing that his visor made from the World Forge protects him from memory wiping and speech preventing the effects of the loop. The Batman Who Laughs goes off into the island, fighting off countless loopers, and before he could only destroy other realities, but now by using the 0 point, he can now access every reality the 0 point is connected to. The convergence becomes a different stage where it slightly expands, reaching further out in every direction. The Cube Queen and the Cube are elevated above higher as the structure grows around it, starts sparking, and creates a giant pyramid. Looking at the Cube Queen, one can now hear the mysterious destabilizing sounds alongside her ominous laughter. The imagined order presumably starts construction on a mysterious base near Pleasant Park. The Cube Queen has deployed countless warriors, and the Cube's corruption is spreading fast throughout the island. To further combat the Cube Queen's growing strength, the War Emperor has deployed donation stations for the brute traveling around the island. That is the whole story so far. There's other small storylines like the henchman duo, the mysterious appearance of Mises' chair, Jules' plans. Obviously, there's some kind of plan between Jules and Marigold. Every gnome is trying to escape. There's all kinds of things for the storyline, but that is the storyline of the entire history of Fortnite. There's smaller stories and all that, and that's basically the whole story. Thank you guys for joining me on the story, and I'll see you guys later today or tonight or tomorrow.